Hi, I'm Steve from Makita UK and I'm here at UK Planet Tools to bring you the world's largest battery powered circular saw from Makita, the HS013GZ. So as you can see, it is a very big saw. It has a 415mm blade in there, which gives us a massive 158mm depth of cut when cutting timbers. So ideally, if you're someone that is in grounds maintenance, doing landscaping with large timbers, railway sleepers, this is the saw you want to get because it will go through it in one. With that in mind as well, there is some really nice features on the front of this machine as we go round. So as we get to the front, we do have a switch here, which is a stabilisation switch for the blade. So when we're using the machine, if we're cutting something that we need quite a precise cut and we don't want any wobble or vibration into the blade, we can flick that switch. That will sit nicely against the blade and keep it nice and stable in the cut. But if we are doing rough cuts where we're not too worried about the finish, we can just leave that unplugged and let the saw cut through. As we move up to the top, we've got a nice large dust extraction port, which is powered by AWS Bluetooth. If you have the Bluetooth dust extraction, you can connect this with the AWS and allow that to turn on and off as you pull the trigger of the machine. Moving on to the trigger is a standard pull the trigger, but it does have a lock-off function on there as well, so you do have to depress the button to allow the trigger to turn on the machine, but it will not lock on. It will only have that lock-off function because of the size of the saw itself. Around here we have our pendulum guard, which we can move by hand, which is spring mounted. And also with the base of the machine, as you can see, we can bevel it over the same as a standard circ saw to its 45-degree bevel. Again though, with the base, you can see here the blade protrudes out the bottom. So when this saw is set to 0, it doesn't allow you to sit it flat on the table nice and stable. So with that in mind, and with the way of transporting this machine itself, when you buy it, as standard in the box, comes this large plastic housing that it allows it to sit in and be nice and stable on the back of the van or for storage. So we can lift that up. It just clips in by itself and by the weight of the machine as it drops into there. Now with that, I can spin it round nice and easily, and I can show you the other functions on the other side. So on here we have our depth adjustment lever. So if we push that in the upright position, that will now let us drop the saw to the desired depth of cut we wish. But if you are using it in the transport box as well, it is good to put it down into its lowest position because it keeps the blade nice and protected in the base of the box. Also, we have our battery compartment for our 40-volt XGT to slot onto, and then we have our AWS Bluetooth chip mounted on the side. We also have a nice large support handle, so with your trigger finger on the back handle, you can support the weight of the machine with that large side handle. You do get a guide fence in the box, which is what you slide into the side of the machine and lock down with these locking nuts there, and that can give you a nice steady cut when you cut in large straight lines. So lastly, I just spin it round. So the machine also has an electric brake, so as soon as you release that trigger, the blade will stop rotating for safety, and the machine itself only comes in at 11 kilograms, so it really isn't that heavy to use. So that was the world's largest battery powered circular saw from Makita, the HS013GZ.